would suffer along with China.
So one of the issues that we've spoken about in the past is this intellectual property theft that has been going on for decades. The Chinese Communist Party continues to steal intellectual property. You believe that they are stealing intellectual property right now as we speak. Let's talk a bit about that, because the whole world is looking for a vaccine. And I wonder, is China trying now to come out of this, trying to save face, look better than the rest of the world, while coming up with the vaccine before the United States? What's happening right now with regards to that kind of science?
Well, Maria, the Chinese Communist Party has been stealing America's intellectual property for decades, and they're not going to magically stop in the middle of a pandemic. You know, in almost every state in the union, there are active cases against Chinese nationals. In Arkansas, for instance, they're accused of having stolen proprietary genomes of our farmers in East Arkansas. But in the middle of a pandemic, what's the most valuable intellectual property in the world? It's the research that our great laboratories and life science companies are doing on prophylactic drugs, therapeutic drugs, and ultimately a vaccine. So I have little doubt that the Chinese intelligence services are actively trying to steal America's intellectual property as it relates to the virus that they unleashed on the world. Because, of course, they want to be the country that claims credit for finding those drugs or finding a vaccine and then use it as leverage against the rest of the world.
So I want to ask you about your three pieces of legislation that you've already put out to keep China accountable. I'm going to get to that in a moment. But just what you just said, that is why you believe we should not be giving visas to Chinese students who want to study advanced sciences. They want to get into the Gilead Sciences and the Googles of the world to steal that research. Is that right?
Yeah, Maria, it's a scandal to me that we have trained so many of the Chinese Communist Party's brightest minds to go back to China to compete for our jobs, to take our business, and ultimately to steal our property and design weapons and other devices that can be used against the American people. So I think we need to take a very hard look at the visas that we give to Chinese nationals to come to the United States to study, especially at the postgraduate level in advanced scientific and technological fields. You know, if Chinese students want to come here and study Shakespeare and the Federalist Papers, that's what they need to learn from America. They don't need to learn quantum computing and artificial intelligence from America.
Well, they're certainly making sure that anybody in China is learning the culture of China. You make a good point. Let's make sure people understand the culture of America. So you've introduced three pieces of legislation, and you think bringing pharmaceutical manufacturing